Right. Going down.
Oh!
Welcome to another exciting episode of Holiday Horror.
I'm Bruce.
I'm Earl.
I'm Ray.
And we are the Metallibrothers.
We just got done watching Black Christmas.
The most metal Christmas of all.
1974. This could arguably be the one that really started the holiday slasher horror thing.
Holiday Horror.
Because after this, John
Came
Carpenter.
Halloween.
Yeah. And I guess we will just go into how this thing begins. We got a sorority house with a bunch of girls. They're all kind of getting ready to leave for Christmas. And it's the shot. It's point of view of the killer, right?
Point of view of the killer.
Yeah.
He comes creeping up from outside the house, and you see him like looking in through the windows, watching them around the dinner table and kind of disperse.
Yeah.
And then he crawls up the lattice on the outside of the house and crawls in through an upstairs window and just hides up in the attic and starts watching them the rest of the night. So
Right.
this person was in the attic, and then they get phone calls while they're, downstairs.
And that
is when these voices come in.
And that to me is the main thing. That's like the scariest aspect of this movie. I think it's, other than the bag on the head, it's the most memorable part.
Do you remember what the voices sounded like, Brand?
It was something. What did he sound like? Like.
Barely.
Is like.
That's a new metal song in the making right there, bro.
That is metal as hell.
Yeah.
Not too far off.
No.
I'm just gonna say from.
And that was really disturbing because when he makes that first call, it's with all the girls kind of just listening in, right? And they're all dead silent.
Haunting.
And it's the typical thing. You think it's a prank phone call, but as it keeps on going, you're like, whoa.
This is freaky.
This is going on longer than it should.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
And he starts yelling at you, and because you wonder, it sounds like multiple voices, almost like someone else is having a conversation, you're listening in on it, but then he keeps redirecting things towards the person on the phone. Margo Kidder gets on, and
Margo
shuts him
Kidder's
down.
Other than Superman, and I guess Smallville, this is another movie with Margo Kidder, who plays a Margo Kidder. Some other movie besides Superman. She's in this, and she plays a drunk.
She is drunk.
Because that's her acting range, either being Lois Lane or a drunk. With all of her quick jabs. And so she gets on there, she shoots him down, and then I think it goes off to it's a typical horror movie setup where that one girl, she goes back to her room and starts getting ready to go, right? And then the killer doesn't have a name, I guess Billy.
Yeah, I think they call the killer Billy because he says Billy a lot on the phone.
He's always saying Billy this or something about a baby. Billy. It's always something about a baby. He's kind of obsessed with the baby.
Right.
Or Billy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that one girl, she gets a bag over her head. And that becomes like the iconic shot that this movie, if you don't know anything about this movie, you've probably seen this. Because
The baghead.
Yeah. And it's really weird because this is really the first of its kind, but it's retroactively kind of boring to watch because we've seen everything that's come after it and been inspired by it. But to watch it, you're kind of like, I've seen this a million times.
Yeah, we know what's happening. But what we don't ever know is who the actual killer is.
And that's what also makes this actually kind of scary,
right.
Is that you think you think it's this boyfriend who has a thing with, I guess she ends up being the final girl thing.
Right,
she's not really set up
girl.
to be the final girl. I guess no one was really playing that role except for her just because she had the actual
rotated
plot.
around.
she had the actual like side story, which is like her boyfriend, who's this moody musician pianist who flips out at some point and bursts up his piano and breaks it up. But like, there's something about how she's pregnant and he wants to have a baby, but she wants to have the baby.
No, she doesn't. She's gonna get an abortion.
Yeah, she wants
her
the
to have
abortion, which again makes him even more likely to kill her because of the baby.
It's confusing, but I thought that was all a ruse, right? Wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
it wasn't. He got killed in the end, didn't he?
Yeah, he was blamed for being
He got blamed for everything, but there's nothing
really tied to it.
conclusive to tie it to.
But there were
right?
what was
You'll
it,
have
one
to-
or two murders outside of the house during the time of the
I think
movie
it was
too?
one like some, and it's murder you never see. It's just like another thing that seems kind of almost unrelated. Like, but it also kind of sets up this notion that it was like, were there two killers involved in this? Yeah. I guess Margo Kidder is kind of funny just because it's Margo Kidder playing a drunk college student, but then you have the sorority house madam who's also another drunk, and they spend so much time with her character off screen, just like going around trying to find booze that she has hidden throughout the house.
Oh, and there's one character we forgot. There was a father for the first girl who gets killed.
Yes.
He shows up looking for her.
Yes.
And because everyone at first is like, oh, she just left early for Christmas break. But he's like, nah, I'm here to pick her up.
Yeah.
Where's she at?
Yeah.
And so that finally starts alerting the police to like, hey, something's going on here. But by the end of the movie, they still don't find her body.
No. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious how, like, after all this, after they think they caught the killer, they didn't check the entire house. The
Killer's
attic.
still in the attic.
The killer is in the attic as well as two bodies, the house madam as well as the girl with the bag over
First
the head.
kill. Yeah.
And even more hilarious is that she's in front of an open window in the front to where everyone can see it, and I guess everyone just assumed that was Christmas decoration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's Christmas.
That's Christmas.
A corpse with a bag over the head.
Yeah. The rocking chair. And
Yeah. But it's based off of an urban legend, right?
Yeah.
Just like the killer
being in the house. Usually a babysitter in that sorority sisters. But, yeah.
And there's a lot of cool stuff with that aspect because there's the whole thing where the police are trying to locate the location of the calls, and they have this whole thing with the phone company with
switchboard.
The guy's going up and down the switchboard rooms trying to find it, and they have to keep him on like a minute, I think, in order to trace it. So yeah.
He's calling from inside the house.
And another notable star in this movie is John Saxon of Nightmare on Elm Street fame. He very well could be the exact same character because he's also a cop.
Well, that is Black Christmas. What do you feel like you want to...
Well, for my rating,
Give it a
let me
rating.
give a rating here. I'm going to give it a horn. Just one horn. You know, I actually saw this way back when, I want to say as late as being a freshman in high school. And I remember it did scare me. Like, yeah, the phone call, the fact that you don't know who the killer is. And one shot in particular, it's towards the end where, like, the only time you really see the killer, it's just like he's looking through a cracked door and you just see his eye wide open, and you hear for the first time other than over the phone, you hear him going, "Oh, Billy, I'm going to kill the baby," or something like that. So yeah, I remember that scared me. And I think it's one of those where it doesn't scare me so much now, but it's like, the concept is scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also, I can see why it's not really well embraced at its time. Maybe retroactively people have appreciated it, but it's still kind of meh. So yeah, one horn. Got to give it props.
Yeah, I think I'd probably give it a horn myself. Give it props for being kind of a pioneer of the genre. As old school of a movie as it is, but in the end, it's just too slow of a burn. Nothing really insane happens other than the insane vocals we mentioned before on the phone recordings of the killer, which was very creepy. And to me, that was the highlight of the entire movie in terms of scare factor, was merely those phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least to get a horn, though.
I think we're unanimous here. Like, I would also give this movie a horn.
Yeah.
It is worth a watch. It is a classic in its own right, but a little bit slow. And yeah, I'm part of the age that has seen this kind of story time and time again. It's not fresh to me. It's not striking that unique magic. But I will say that it did kind of hit that one note that does lack sometimes in horror movies, where they treated the killer a lot like the shark in Jaws, where it was always this, slight, we almost see him. We see a foot, we see a hand, we see a shadow moving by or see his perspective watching you, but you never actually saw the shark. And that almost was like the problem with it. Like, you need to see the shark one time for that effect to work really well, and it to, have something graphically shock you and be like, oh my God, he's hideous. But instead, we just got left hanging, and it was like, all right, we had that suspense factor, and we left on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just got done watching Black Christmas. Thanks for watching, everybody. And hey, happy
holidays!
Wow! You ain't doing no freaking holiday, motherfucker.
Dude, who the